Richard. Live on TikTok. Here's pulled up.
Facebook. Huh? It's Facebook. Yeah. All right, guys. Well, welcome to the final day of our. Hang on, we're having some feedback issues. Give us a thumbs up if you can hear us okay and there's no echoing, nothing like that. Make sure our mics are working good. Anyway, so welcome to the last day of our Labor Day live special, where we have gone over Rack Machine demos. We've explained how Rack Machines work. We have tried to raise as much money as possible for Honor Tribe Outdoors and the charity work that they are a nonprofit and the charity work that they do for returning veterans, and just trying to grow the vibrational medicine industry, the frequency therapy industry, and the Rife Machine industry as a whole together. So we just thank you guys for joining us here on this last day. We appreciate you guys joining us throughout the week and getting excited about all this. Today, we're going to go over a little bit about the past, about how I came to develop Rife Machines, and we're going to go over how they work, how they take some of the same things that you may find in nature and that promote healing in nature, and you have it all bottled up in a Rife Machine, and you're able to use and even exploit those natural interactions that your body has with natural electromagnetic fields found in nature and in other animals and plants and things like that. Starting off, the biggest thing I want to say is thank you for you guys, and remember that all of this was a lot of work. This was a lot to put together. We spent all week either preparing for this or shooting this, and the weeks before that we spent building units and everything else, and working with Honor Tribe Outdoors and Brad and Nicole, just to be able to put all this together. So remember, go support Honor Tribe Outdoors. They sell t-shirts, koozies, hats, stickers. You can buy electromedics gear, and we will be donating that to Honor Tribe Outdoors. And then, of course, you can always buy Rife Machine and Rife Machine gear, extra amps, magnets, spectrum analyzers, things like that. And all of that is a contribution towards Honor Tribe Outdoors and the incredible work they do for not only returning veterans, but also families of veterans who have been lost overseas. So very important message we are trying to spread and use here in our industry, because one of the most important things that Electromedics and Honor Tribe Outdoors is doing is trying to raise money to put as many Rife Machines in the homes of disabled and injured veterans as possible, and working with different groups, insurance companies, and the VA and things like that, to make sure that the people who need this technology the most have access to it, because the funds, especially in the world today that our politicians have done such a bang-up job in, it is increasingly harder and harder and harder to afford technologies and devices and therapies such as these that can really help people and really make a big difference in their lives. So remember, everything that you do here today on this Labor Day special goes towards that. So we want to thank y'all just for being with us here today. So how did I had a comment. I'm going to get into the little bit of a history of why I build these, how I learned how to build these, and my passion behind building them today. And so I had a comment, and a guy was basically telling me that, Dr. Reif used plasma. And he was like, your machines aren't Reif machines. And I was like, to start off answering that comment, because again, it's just one of those like really negative comments, like where people come here just to learn and they have to filter through all of this hate and negativity and immatureness and things like that, when, an easy question could be asked there about like, what all technologies was Dr. Reif working on, and why did you focus specifically on electromagnetic fields, and so on and so forth. It's a much more educational way for everybody to learn from your question and not just have this criticizing comment or statement. And I appreciate all of you guys that do come here, filter through all those terrible comments, and actually get to learn something about the frequency therapy industry. So to answer that guy's question was, the way I would start off is I learned how to build these working with a descendant of Dr. Reif himself, someone who inherited the research that was left after the raid of Dr. Reif himself. And we built a company together called Reif Technology, and we designed and developed what we consider modern day Reif machines. Now, to go into all of the science about why we chose and stuck with EMF, is not readily available to anyone. That is what you would consider classified family research that I don't even have access to, that I never had access to. But we did base a lot of our modern day research in developing these machines off of that research. And there is a reason that we chose to stick with electromagnetic fields over things like plasma and sound, which all three were actually being used by Dr. Reif. And there is a reason that he really got interested in electromagnetic fields, and he didn't really stick with the plasma or the sound, even though sound was probably the next most interesting that he used in his research. As you can see today, they are using sound in a lot of research that has to do with cancer and things like that. And they've had some pretty incredible breakthroughs. So I'm not knocking plasma, I'm not knocking sound, but I am going to say there's a reason that me and that descendant of Dr. Reif chose to develop modern day Reif machines with electromagnetic fields. Anyways, fast forward a little bit, we had a company called Reif Technology, and we parted ways. He bought me out of that company, and I went on to create Electromedics, and he continued Reif Technology, and here we are today. So I had my things that I wanted to do. I had the machines I wanted to build. I wanted them to be a certain way, look a certain way, and I wanted our company to be presented a certain way. And he had his own ideas, and so we parted ways. He bought me out, and that's what we're doing. We're doing our own thing now. So that's how I come to you today with the knowledge to build these and to make them and calibrate them and make sure that they do have the healing and electromagnetic field components and accuracy that you would expect to see out of a modern day Reif machine or an electromagnetic field frequency generator. So one reason I became, go ahead, do we have a question?
Oh, no, I was just going to say, if you wanted to talk about how you were talking about like calibrating your machines and what kind of sets you apart there. I think that's something that's really unique about Electromedics and our company that a lot of people might not know about. So I don't know if that would be something you wanted to talk about now or maybe later too. But
Absolutely. So again, like she's saying, Caitlin has mentioned, one of the things that sets us apart, it's not just our overwhelming customer service and helping people walk through using these types of devices and coaching them and making sure they set a proper frequency schedule that's going to give them the most efficient and best chances of having really good results for whatever they're trying to target. But it's also that we show how we build these. We show that we calibrate these with a spectrum analyzer and with a Gauss meter, and coming out of Reif Technology and using a bunch of different machines, Reif Technology machines and Chi Coil. Like there was a handful of different companies that we would get these machines from, and we would test them and use them and things like that. One of my biggest things that I wanted from Electromedics was I wanted a stronger electromagnetic field, but I also wanted a more pure electromagnetic field. From testing, as I dug further into these machines and everything, I found that the electromagnetic field sine wave was coming out in a very choppy form or blocky. And it's kind of getting a little technical, but the idea is that we want something more like this and not like that. And if you were to measure that on the scale of, what's the word I'm looking for? Of like,
Sine wave?
Yeah, well, a sine wave, but also like if you were measuring it like on a like a light spectrum scale, is you want to see like that more like as things are in the ELF range, you know, they're very like this, and as you get into the very high EMF range, it gets more like this. And then of course, whenever it's artificial, in a lot of ways, you'll see just it like get real blocky. And so essentially I wanted to find a way to make it more pure, but most importantly, I wanted to find a way to make it have more strength. Not a lot of companies that I had experience with had a lot of strength in their electromagnetic field, and I was just curious if we could make that electromagnetic field stronger that gave people the ability to be further away from the machine, but also gave people the ability to get a stronger dose that needed them. My theory was that the results could be pretty significant. So with our clinical grade Rife machine, we were able to find a way to basically connect two electromagnetic fields together. So you'll see a lot of different machines that use multiple coils, and they're using multiple different electromagnetic fields to get the desired effects that they want, trying to evenly space them around you and put you in the middle where all of them come together and things like that. So at Electromagnetics, we designed a machine that was actually able to combine multiple electromagnetic fields together, and it gave us what we just referred to as like a super electromagnetic field, because we were able to test it and it came out very pure. It came out in a very spherical form, and it was also the range and the power was double. So we were taking a clinical grade Rife machine that was comparable to other clinical grade Rife machines on the market, and we were getting so much of a reading on our Gauss meter. And after we figured out how to combine two electromagnetic fields together to create one super electromagnetic field, we were able to basically double what we were reading on the Gauss meter, especially at a distance. At a greater the distance, the greater the reading went. So at a certain distance, it was double. At the next, it was quadruple. And then at the next, it was, you know, tenfold what you were seeing with other clinical grade Rife machines. So that was one thing that really made a difference. Our dedication to serious research and development and testing, something that a lot of other people don't do, and that's what Caitlin was speaking about, is we were actually using real equipment to measure electromagnetic fields and to measure the frequencies coming out of the coils and to make sure that they were calibrated properly and to make sure that the axis of the electromagnetic field was where it was supposed to be, and it was strong enough in most settings to not be blown all over the place. As your electromagnetic field is weak, noise in the air, radio frequency, and other signals such as cell phone, Wi-Fi routers, TVs, microwaves, things like that actually can blow your electromagnetic field around, and it pushes on it. And so that can obviously interrupt the type of frequency you're getting in a moment. So the idea was to create one that was strong enough in most modern day settings. I'm not telling you that you can go sit in the electrical control room of a air tower at an airport and expect it to not be blown around. But in normal suburban life, you can use this in a home and expect it to be above 99% accurate, which is what we were looking for, especially compared to other machines that we had observed that the electromagnetic field was weak enough that in most modern day settings, it was moving way more than what you would want in a Rife machine. So that is what sets electromagnetics apart from other people, is measuring and using actual equipment, spectrum analyzers and milligauss meters to actually measure the strength of the electromagnetic field, to measure where the axis point of the electromagnetic field is, to create the proper range from unit to unit that we can actually tell people like, hey, you need to be in this range in most settings. and to obviously calibrate the coils that they are putting out the correct frequency whenever you play it through the Z app. So that is one thing that really sets us apart, and I hope that that kind of answers Caitlin's question about like what we were talking about. I know it's a little bit more of an elaborate answer, and I get a little sciencey. I don't mean to go on those rants, but it does happen. So
I think people appreciate the science behind it, and because it's just such not new technology, but it's so different, and it's it's starting to become more mainstream, so to speak, and so people like to hear what it is and what your perspective is, and how you can almost just kind of talk about it in an actual conversation, because a lot of times people hear EMF and they're like, I don't even know, like that's the extent of my knowledge, is that I know that there's a word that EMF stands for, and it seems bad. So then that's the other part, that it just, a lot of people hear that and think it's scary, and they don't realize that there's actually healing benefits from it as well. So I think it's just, all that to say, it's just great, in my opinion, to talk about the science and talk about your perspective on it. So
yeah, and I think that's a great point. A lot of people don't know, and they do hear things and they immediately associate it as the things that they've heard that are negative about it. They hear about the electromagnetic fields that wireless routers put out and how it destroys organic material. They hear about the electromagnetic fields that cell towers or power lines put out and how it kills trees and crops and things like that. And it is important to be able to differentiate what we mean when we are talking about electromagnetic fields. And what people don't understand is that everything has an electromagnetic field. Humans have electromagnetic field. Viruses have electromagnetic fields. Trees, grass, horses. Horses have 5 times the electromagnetic field that a human does, and it does interact with us. Science has proved that over time, when you interact with a tree, when you interact with a natural grassy field, or you interact with a horse, or going to the beach. This is a great one I like to explain to people, because everybody's like, well, I love going to the beach. And it's like, well, why? It's just water and sand. And it's like, you can go anywhere in your home state. You can probably go to a river with a beach. You can go to a pool with a beach. There's all these different options. Why do you come to the beach? And everybody's like, well, it's vacation. I'm like, what part? The part where you sit in traffic, or you struggle to get all your stuff up to a high-rise condo, or you don't have a grocery store very close, or you overpay for food and drinks. I was like, so what part? And I'm like, well, I just like to go lay out by the water in the sand. And I'm like, bingo. Why? Because the electromagnetic field of the ocean and the sand and the sheer presence of something like that is so large and so strong interacts with your body in a very, very unique way to promote a sense of calmness, to promote a sense of like apathy and serenity, to help you release serotonin in your brain. And so you are literally interacting. This is scientifically proven. You can actually research this. There's a reason that people go to the beach, and that they feel at a state of vacation or relaxed, or the worries of tomorrow are put off for tomorrow. And that's because that is the electromagnetic field that you are interacting with when you stand next to something as powerful and as natural as an ocean. And the sand as well. And you have large amounts of sand that are all connected together, and you're standing in it with your bare feet, grounding yourself, getting sunlight, and feeling those electromagnetic fields, those natural electromagnetic fields and frequencies and signals from the ocean. This is the same thing. You hear about a lot of people spending time in the woods, like hippies and different things like that. And they're like, oh no, we go do this festival every year, and you can't wear shoes, you can only eat natural stuff, and we hug this tree. That's where the term tree hugger came from. And it was a real thing. It was like, because when people were feeling sick or depressed or down or had issues or whatever, they would literally go and they would hug a tree, and it would be like their skin hugging a tree with their feet on the ground. And what they're actually doing, again, this is scientifically proven, not only are they grounding themselves, they're able to pull these bad EMFs out of their body, they're actually receiving a natural dose of natural electromagnetic fields. And it was able to put themselves in a state of healing, a state of rest, a state of calm, a state of apathy. Another great example of this is that the electromagnetic field of the planet, the Schumann resonance, 7.86. That's right. Every single day, no matter what you do, unless you leave the planet Earth, you are interacting with an electromagnetic field. And if you were to leave that electromagnetic field for a very long period of time, you would get sick. No matter what every single time. NASA proved this whenever they were sending astronauts to outer space, spending long times on the International Space Station, and so on and so forth. They found out that humans just kept getting sick. And so a scientist theorized that, like, hey, let's make an electromagnetic field frequency generator and put an artificial electromagnetic field at 7.86 on the spaceship and see how they react to that. And we came to learn that, hey, they stopped getting sick. And it was the importance of being around natural electromagnetic fields that actually made the difference. Today, we walk through life around cell phones and Wi-Fi routers, power lines, and cars, and you name it, and we're surrounded by all these bad EMFs. And so we're not getting that 7.86 like we're supposed to. We're not interacting with animals like horses and cows and trees and being barefoot in the grass and things like that. And so we're never really getting a dose of those electromagnetic fields that our body needs to keep us healthy. And that is what a Ripe machine has harnessed inside of it, is that you can actually very specifically choose what frequencies you want that have been proven to interact with the body in a very healthy way, and it explodes cell regeneration, it explodes cell viability, it can stimulate tissues for regrowth, and it talks to your electrical signals of your body in your nerves to help make sure that your body doesn't forget about something, because your body will do that. I explained this yesterday when I was talking about tattoos. The only reason a tattoo is permanent is because your body eventually leaves it alone. It just forgets about it, moves on about its day. And if you were to go have tattoo removal done, it's not the laser that actually does anything to the tattoo. All the laser is doing is opening up that wall that your body's put up on that tattoo, and it allows your body to start picking at it again. Your body will pick at it and remove that ink and just discard it from the body or take it to the lymph nodes. That's kind of like the dumping ground of the body. And so that's exactly what your body does. In a lot of ways, it gets put on autopilot. So if you have a sprained ankle, or you have fluid in your knee, or you have arthritis or joint pain, your body just kind of goes on about its day and just forgets to keep working on it. And you're able to use a Rife machine to be like, hey, don't forget to work on it. And your body's like, well, I'm in a fight or flight mode, so I got to fight. I ain't got time to heal right now. So you can use the Rife machine to be like, nope, we're going to rest. We're going to put ourselves in a state of mind of rest and healing, and we're at peace. We're not uncertain. We don't have anxiety. We are not in fight or flight just because we're stressed about bills. So we're going to lay here, watch TV, run our Rife machine, and we're going to tell our body to heal those things that it keeps forgetting about. And that's what you find whenever you see people who interact with a horse most of their lives. You know, if you take them away from the horse for a very long time, they become depressed and sad, and they just want to come back and they want to see their horse. Talk to anybody who's ever been raised around horses. They'll absolutely know what I'm talking about. Just like someone who's never been around horses, if they go and ride a horse, all you'll see is a big smile. They're excited. They don't know what to do, but they're just happy. And what you're doing is you are interacting with the electromagnetic field of the horse. It is bringing you to a state of happiness because it's releasing serotonin in the brain, and it is interacting with your body in a very peaceful way. And that is researchable. That's 100% researchable. Just Google the electromagnetic field of a horse.
I wonder if you can measure it with a Gauss meter.
You can't measure it with a Gauss meter, which is a great point. I'm glad you brought that up, because I want to explain to people why the magnet stops moving once it's so far away or in such a high frequency. And I also want to explain why you can no longer, once you get so far away with a Gauss meter, you can no longer read that the Rife machine is running. But you will still get a casual dose of those frequencies. So if you're somewhere in the room, say I'm right here, I'm running a Rife machine, and someone's sitting over here on my couch, and if I take the meter, if I'm right here with the meter, I get a very strong reading, a very good dose of an electromagnetic field and everything else. But if I take it over there, I won't get any reading at all. So it's like, well, how can you prove that they are still getting a frequency dose, a casual dose of frequencies? And it's like, it's the same way with a horse. You can't measure it with a Gauss meter. And I think it was like the heart of a horse and the brain of a horse was like specifically what scientists were studying. And they were studying how that it does have this very strong electromagnetic field about it. And even though we're not able to read it with like a Gauss meter or whatever, they were able to prove that, yes, it is interacting with a human body. It does interact with a human brain whenever someone is close enough to the horse. And so it's like, even though you don't get a reading on the Gauss meter. If you are in the ring with someone running a Rife machine, it's like, yes, you are still getting frequencies. You are still getting a dose. Even though you're 10, 12 feet away, you are still getting that, even though you were able to put that Gauss meter there and you weren't getting the reading. Now, some of that, is just because the way a Gauss meter is designed is a Gauss meter is designed to pick up basically bad electromagnetic fields in wiring. A lot of engineers, electrical engineers, will use them to find where they messed up their calculations in wiring, and they're able to rewire it because there's a flow to electricity, and that flow has to be met, or you get a buildup of amps or ohms or whatever, and it can be very hazardous. It can create a lot of heat. It can create a lot of like back surge and pop transformers and burn things up and different things like that. So that's actually what a Gauss meter is designed for. That is what it's calibrated for. So you actually have to have a handful of formulas and different things like that to actually use a Gauss meter properly to be able to read stuff that are much more on a natural level, natural frequencies, or what is considered ELFs. Now, to go right into what ELFs are, that what NASA studied ELFs for and how they proved that, yes, when you use something like a Rife machine, and they were doing about 7 to 10 hertz. That's what we considered ELF, extremely low frequencies. And they were using it basically in a lab, and they were able to see what cells were doing when they didn't have the ELFs go through them, and then what they were doing when they did have the ELFs exposed to them. And the results were pretty phenomenal. Well, pull that up real quick. Do we have that on my iPad? It's not a big deal. It was a while ago they did. What was that, like 2004 or something like that they researched that? Or was it even before that?
No, I think it was actually 2005, but
It was like black and white pictures. It was so old. So that's why I was
oh,
like, was it like the 80s?
No,
It was a while
just
ago.
copied.
I do feel like it was like a while after,
I thought did I send it to email it to you?
because what, we went to the moon in the 60s.
Oh no.
I know it was after World War. It was between us and Russia, the only remaining superpowers. But anyway, so they did this study, and they were basically just shocked by the results. That it was like, yes, 100%. When you when you expose cells to ELFs, their regeneration rate jumps by like tens of thousands. And the most unique thing they found was the viability rate of the cells was plus 90%. Because in a standard setting, standard cells, their viability rate is around half. And to have them exposed to ELFs was jumping that viability rate. So for a cell to be able to do what it does in the planet, in the ecosystem, in the human body, whatever, a cell has to be viable. So it's like if you think of your body in a normal setting, generally walking around, you're producing all these cells. Let's just say off my head number, 1,000 per hour. You're generating 1,000 cells per hour. Well, only 50% of them are viable, which means 50% of those cells your body can't use. You just discard them. And whenever you're exposed to ELFs, your body goes to producing tens of thousands of cells per hour, and 90% of them are usable. So that was the research that NASA had found when they were studying the effects of extremely low frequencies on organic tissue and organic cells. So anyways, I'm going to get out of the whole like crazy sciencey part of it, and I guess I'm going to go right into a little demo of like how a Rife machine works. So we don't have any questions, do we?
Not yet.
Anything on Facebook?
Let me check. I don't think so. No questions so far. If you guys have any questions, please let us know. I am trying to keep up with it, so
Yes, please. This whole setup, what this was about was be one-on-one Rife machine demo, which means I'm demoing and talking about Rife machines, but most importantly, you guys are asking me questions so that you have that one-on-one and you don't feel like you have to comment or do a private message or anything like that, because I know there's a ton of questions out there about Rife machines. There's a ton of questions out there about frequency therapy and everything else, and I don't know everything by far. But I always try to steer people in the right direction. So if it's not a question that I can answer with 90% certainty, I can give them my opinion on it or the research I've done, and then I can send them down the right direction of like, hey, you should look at this book or check out this website or research or Google this, whatever it may be. I'm able to point you in the right direction. So please feel free to ask questions. That was why we set this whole thing up, is we just wanted to do basically like a live Q&A and just take questions for everybody that was kind of on the cusp about entering the frequency therapy industry or their frequency therapy journey or their Rife machine journey.
Or what it is included with it. Because we don't really advertise about our the Zoom call that we can do with people if they purchase a machine, to kind of get them, of course, set up with their machine, but to also determine what frequencies are going to be best for you. If you want, of course, you can do it by yourself, but just based off of our experience and what we've figured out and what we've seen for ourselves, just different ways to set a schedule. And Hunter's really good about talking about how to set a schedule and figuring out for yourself. But if there are some different things that you're trying to accomplish and don't quite know the best way to approach it, that's what we offer with a one-on-one, like a coaching session essentially, so that we can let you guys know.
We don't just send you there with a paper instructions and be like, all right, good luck, figure it out. It's like, no, the most important thing we can do is make sure you know how to use this thing correctly. Because when you use it correctly, I guarantee you will see results. They may not be the results you want, or they may be way better than what you want. But the bottom line is when you do use this the correct way, you will see results, and then you're going to be given feedback. And that feedback is what drives this industry. This industry is living on feedback right now. That's it. The people who call back in and they're like, wow, this changed my life. That's the only thing that keeps this industry propped up right now and is able to defeat those large pharmaceutical companies and elitists and bureaucrats that want to destroy this industry.
It's not that there's a wrong way to do it, but there's a way that you can get a lot more out of it. And when you're at this type of price point, you want to make sure that you're getting the most out of your money, because it is valuable, and we understand that. And so we just don't want you to purchase a machine and then it just sits there on the desk. It's not good for you, it's not good for us, it's not good for the progression of frequency therapy. So we want to make sure that you have that success story that you're looking for. And so
tell them about the clinical grade with the iPad, how we're able to build them one if they were to buy one as well. Tell them about that. That's an awesome thing going through.
Yeah, so sometimes it can be a little confusing with the app. Some people catch on right away, and it's no problem at all. And then other people, it can be a little bit more confusing. And so what we can do if we purchase our clinical grade Rife machine, it comes with a tablet. And so I get it all set up and ready to go before we ship out to you. And so if you decide that you want to do some coaching with me or with Hunter or whoever, both of us, then we can set up a Zoom call. I can learn your different health goals and what you're trying to prioritize, why you're buying this machine. And then I can go ahead and set you up a playlist that I think, or that Hunter thinks would be appropriate for what you're telling us. And then that will be already set up and pre-programmed into your machine before we mail it off to you. So it's just kind of a cool, extra personalized step, of course, and it can be hard to determine what, the root cause of what you're looking for. It's not as simple as man, my knee hurts, can you fix it? Okay, sure, we can, but that might start with a detox actually. It might start with parasite cleanse. It might start with something besides just selecting knee pain and playing that for the next month. So I've been a nurse for over 10 years, so I can use that expertise to kind of help you with determining your issues or different ways that we can approach it. Of course, we might start you on one path, and then as we are seeing how it's working for you, we might change course a little bit, or if it's working great, we're going to keep course. So it's just that constant feedback from us and for you, so that you.
Which we work with people's doctors and stuff as well. So it's if you already have a practitioner, like a chiropractor, a neurological surgeon, or a orthopedic, those are all doctors that use some form of EMF or frequency
Like
device.
that.
Yeah, because they do like different like back braces with PMF in it. They do TINS units. They do all kinds of things. And so we also can work with them. Like if you're like, all right, I went here and I got this diagnosis and they recommend, some type of frequency therapy, what's going to be best with if I want to use your frequency device instead of like some PMF matter TINS unit. That's the thing. We're able to work with them in a pretty incredible way. We work with Dr. Mark Giovanni, and he's a neurological surgeon out of Pensacola, and he has one of our clinical grade right machines in his clinic. So, it's one of those situations that's like that, we like to partner with practitioners and to help set a really effective schedule that supplements the things you're already doing that can actually boost your medication, your physical therapy, your whatever it is, your diet, whatever it is you're doing to help whatever it is you're targeting. Because that is what a right machine is it's a great supplemental feature.
Yeah. And if something's working for you, like if you have a PEMF mat that's working really good for this certain thing, then we'll be like, okay, well, if that's already working for this, then we can use a right machine for this. And, there's just, again, it's just completely customizable to you, completely personal. If you have a practitioner that is, and that's how you want to handle it, then that's awesome. We would love to work with them. We would love to still be involved. Or you can do your own thing. It's just we want you guys to know that we do offer it in case we don't have anywhere to go and you're just like, this sounds really cool. I have some health things that I kind of wanted to address, but I really don't know what to do. And so we do have options there that you can reach out to us and we're more than happy. It's our favorite thing to talk about. So we'll sit there and talk to you all day about it. Well, maybe not all day, but we'll sit there and talk to you and make sure that we get you on a great schedule and I get you some hopefully happy results there. So, what else?
Well, I think we should go over basically how to use a right machine. So I'm going to sit here and do a little demo with the Electromedics Nomad unit. I'm going to hook it all up, and I need to run my frequency 40 because I skipped it yesterday. Well, I didn't mean to skip it. It was just basically we didn't have one set up and running, and my little girl was using the big one for her eczema. And so I never got a chance to sit down and run my post-recovery workout. And I mean, I am feeling it today. You can ask her after my workout today. I was just sitting at breakfast, like, oh my God, like my legs were hurting so bad.
Not enough energy to eat, practically.
Only day this week I felt this way. I've kind of changed my fitness routine, and it's a little more extreme.
Kicking your butt, really. You're doing a great job with it, but it is a very, well, number one, it's a new routine for you, but it is very intense as well, too. So I think having that muscle recovery, especially when you're changing routines, but doing something that's intense as you're doing, it's like you're really going to notice it. Versus if I did it right now, and I'm just doing basically ab rehab, and so I don't think it would make that big of a difference for me. But for you, I think you would definitely see the difference right now.
Well, I definitely noticed the difference because I've used it every day this week since I started this routine, and I've been able to jump back the next day and get back into it. Forgot to run it yesterday, and today I'm like, it was really, really hard to finish. I'm definitely really sore and everything else.
Let's get you a little session going.
I know, so I'm going to talk about it and show everybody as we roll. Well, you can just leave it up there. We'll get the phone here in a minute when I do kind of want to go over navigating the Z app. If we don't have any questions, of course.
I don't see any.
Cool. All right, so I'm going to put my little spectrum analyzer here so that everybody can see it, or at least hear it. All right, and this is the Electromedics Nomad. So this is the coil. All right, and that is the main part of the device. The other main part of the device is going to be your own smartphone or tablet or iPad or whatever it is. You're going to have a smart device. The only device that comes with the software integrated to it is our clinical grade right machine. It comes with its own little tablet so that it has a standalone tablet and it's not getting interrupted or anything like that. But for the smaller travel units or the Nomad units, you do actually have to use your own smart device. So the first thing I've done is I've turned the small amp on. So this is a battery powered amp. It has a lithium ion battery in it. It does have to be recharged. So I would recommend recharging it probably at least, depending on how long your sessions are, but at least after every 2 sessions. If you have a really long session, I would recommend recharging it just every night. Just
What's
after
a
every
really
session.
long session?
Probably anything peaking 40 minutes, 45 minutes. Anything over that, just go ahead and charge it. All right, so I turn my amp on. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to plug in my 3.5 millimeter jack to my Rife machine. All right. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to plug it into the headphone or the output. It could be one or the other, depending on which machine you get. This specific model has a headphone as the output. All right, and then I'm going to take my other cord. I'm going to start by plugging it into my phone. Now, whether you have USB-C or Lightning, you are going to have both of those adapters. Both of them come with our Rife machine. All right, and you shouldn't have to mess with this, but there's always a gain switch, and you do always want that gain switch to be on, in the on position. All right, I got a little blue light there that tells me I'm all charged up and ready to go. So then I'm going to open my phone, and I am going to go to the Z app. Once I've opened the Z app, that's when I check phone volume. Phone volume should always be all the way up. Amp volume on the smaller amps or on the travel unit should be all the way up. Phone volume should be all the way up. Now, if I wanted to run something like herniated disc, I'm going to go to sequences and I'm going to use the search bar and I'm going to type in herniated disc. And it'll come up and I'll just hit play and then I'll just sit there and let the sequence play. I think it's about 12 minutes long, depending on what you have the settings set at. I like to set it at about 420 seconds, which makes it run for about 30 minutes. But I'm not doing herniated disc today. I'm actually just going to do frequency 40 hertz. That is an ELF. That's in the extremely low frequency range. And I'm running that for muscle recovery. Again, we just talked about my fitness routine. It's been kicking my butt. Forgot to run this sequence yesterday, or this frequency yesterday, because I'm doing a single frequency. I'm not doing a sequence. And I chose that frequency because it is in a lot of wound healing sequences and things like that. And I've just found that my body responds in a recovery type of way to 40 hertz very, very well. So I run it for about 10 minutes, which is 600 seconds.
It's like a cellular regeneration, right?
So yes, anything in the extremely low frequency is cellular regeneration. But what this is actually doing, 40 hertz, does actually talk to your body and let your body know that it needs to go into a state of recovery, if that makes sense. So it's taking your body out of that fight or flight, out of that workout, adrenaline, fat burning, like just, ready to go state. And it's actually putting you in a recovery state while, yes, also regenerating cells. Anything in the ELF range is going to help regenerate cells. But I'm using 40 hertz to actually talk to my body and be like, hey, you can recover. You can go into a state of recovery. You are fine. All right, so, and then I use a search bar. I hit frequencies, and then I type into the search bar 40 hertz. It pops up right there. So all I'm going to do is hit play. All right, I have it running for 10 minutes. All right, and you can see the meter there immediately jumps up to about 5, a little over 5. So that's a good range. It's probably a good 18 inches away. That's about, I moved it a little bit. It's about at 7. Now, this is a little bit off, so I can't do correct or very accurate readings whenever I'm this close to an electrical box. Unfortunately, that is where we have this set up to shoot and the ability to shoot this and all this different stuff. So that's why I'm showing you here. If I showed you this in a setting with less electrical interruptions, it would probably be a little bit stronger. I'd probably get around 5 to 10 at 24 inches. Right now it's probably about 18 inches away. That's about 1.5 feet. So the readings, they vary based on the amount of noise. This is noise in the air. It's disrupting the noise in the air. So that is why, just wanted to explain that real quick. But basically what this thing is doing now, and you can see, I'm just going to show because people probably can't see the numbers. And you see that jumps way up when I get close to it. So that lets me know, okay, that's a very, very high, or a very, very strong electromagnetic field. So I'm going to set this about 1.5 feet away. and I'm about at 8 there. Okay, that lets me know that's still a very strong reading. So that is very good. An 8 milligauss reading on an electromagnetic field is strong. That is a good range to do a session in. That is not a good range to live in. If you were living in that 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, that would be very strong. Now, what type of frequency are we running? That also matters. If it was a 10,000 hertz, like a detox frequency, that'd be intense for you. Doing something like 40 hertz or even lower, like 7.86 Schumann resonance, that's going to be fine. If you did run it 24 hours a day, it's still not something I would recommend. Remember, when you're running a Rife machine, especially in the beginning, less is more. So what I want to do is I want to talk to my body for about 10 to 45 minutes, depending on what I'm trying to get my body to do, and then I want to allow my body to do that. And that's what I'm using the frequencies for, is I am talking to my body. So what is this thing doing? I'm sitting inside 8 milligauss. And how am I sitting inside it? So what's happening here is this thing's generating an electromagnetic field. And imagine an electromagnetic field at a spear. So it's just like a spear that is continuous, all the way over there to the end of the room until it's completely weakened out by everything. Once again, just like I said, you can't pick up the electromagnetic field of a horse with a milligauss meter. It's the same thing over there on my couch. Even though I can't read it, you are still getting frequencies over there. They are being put into the room, and they just go and go and go until they just get so little, so little, so little. But basically, my ideal range for treating stuff, especially in the moderate to severe range, is going to be that 1.5 to 2 foot. That's where I want to be, but only for about 10 to 45 minutes, depending on what I'm treating. All right. So this thing is putting an electromagnetic field into the air, and it is putting it at a very specific frequency, frequency 40. Frequency 40 is a very natural ELF. It is found in nature. It is not found in nature at that strength, not very commonly anyways. So that is the power of an electromagnetic field generator, frequency generator, is that you can create a very strong electromagnetic field that resonates with your body or things inside your body in a very incredible way for a short amount of time, and then have effects as if you were in nature around, let's say, a horse or a tree, or like those magical, what is it, the fountain of life, everybody would call it. They weren't the fountain of youth. Fountain of youth. It wasn't the fountain of youth. All it was a hot spring that had very natural rocks and minerals flowing through it in very incredible ways that produce very strong electromagnetic field frequencies. And if you put your body in that water, what it was doing was it was regenerating cells at very high viability rates. So what would happen? It would heal you, and it would make you stay younger. I did a video on this about, I'm 37 years old, and I can walk in the grocery store, at a football game, into a bar. It doesn't matter where I go. And I'll if I'm mingling with a group of people, I'm mingling with people who generally look like me. And I'm just like, we're having a beer together, and I think they're my age. No, they're like 21 or 18 or something like that. And it's like, there's a reason. I use a Rife machine every single day. I use it for my skin. I use it for my hair. I use it for muscle recovery. I do all these things. A Rife machine can be a time machine or a fountain of youth. Because when you are regenerating cells at very extreme rates and they have very high viability, you are going to age slower. That is literally what aging is the decaying of cells and your body not being able to replace them fast enough. And it gets a lot more sciencey to that, especially when you add things like NAD and things like that to it. But I'm just saying, as a whole, what we understand aging is this dying cells and not being able to replace those dying cells. So that is how a Rife machine can be a time machine, or the fountain of youth. And you always heard those stories, and we always, of course, associated that as urban legends and fairy tales. But ancient cultures did use very specific hot springs, very specific pools and stuff like that were found in nature, where the water spent like hundreds of years filtering through rock. So it's like, it's a common stream that is flowing every day. But if you traced it all the way back to the source, what you're getting out of the rock is actually 100 years from rain that was 100 years ago. So it's like that's how slowly it moves to the rock. What it's picking up is all of those minerals, and all of those minerals have frequencies to them, and they are being poured down into that pool of water, and then people will find these things and they truly believe that it has healing components to it, and then they will spend a lot of time bathing in there or just relaxing or whatever, and it will actually promote healing, relaxation, and everything else. Well, that is what a Rife machine is doing in a, let's say, a more powerful form. It's using those same frequencies. It's putting your body in the electromagnetic field, and it is allowing your body to rest. It is allowing your body to heal, and it is talking to your body. So that is the urban legend of where the fountain of youth is. No, the fountain of youth does not exist. There's not a fountain that you can go get in and then suddenly you have immortality. But that urban legend stemmed from real stories of ancient cultures used in different spas in different places around the world that did promote healing, that did help cell regeneration and help people remain younger, healthier, and better looking for longer. So that's what a Rife machine is doing when you are using the extremely low frequency setting. Now, something else I can do with this Rife machine. I have it running at 40 hertz right now, just trying to get a little muscle recovery in after a very extreme fitness routine. And the other thing I can do, as you can see, is remaining, the milligauss readings remaining around 8. That is a very solid range. That is perfect. If I set you on a frequency schedule and I'm trying to do most things, headaches, menstrual cramps, joint fluid, arthritis, broken bone, cavities in your teeth. That's something a lot of people don't know. Yes, you can use a Rife machine to fix cavities in your teeth. There's so much to it. If you are trying to use it as an aphrodisiac, to be romantic, you want to set the mood, you're having a dinner over, you got candle lights lit, you got Marvin Gaye playing in the background, run your Rife machine. It has a very, very there's frequencies on there that act as like a natural aphrodisiac to put everybody in a very romantic state. It is just endless. The versatility of a Rife machine is endless. And so if I wanted to use the Rife machine to weaken bad cells, now this is what Dr. Royal Rife was studying, right? He was theorizing that everything has a mortal oscillation rate, MOR. And if you could find the oscillation rate of a cell and you can match that frequency, like everything oscillates at a specific frequency. And if you could find that frequency and match that with electromagnetic field frequency, you could actually weaken that cell. You could even make it inert or paralyzed. And then your body good cells could come in, overpower that bad cell, and remove it from the body. So if I want to, say I have a virus, like the common cold or a bacterial infection or parasites, whatever it may be, I can use my Rife machine. I can go under sequences. I can type in parasite detox, or I can type in common cold or viruses or bacteria, whatever it is. And then I can use those frequencies that are known to weaken the cells of viruses, common cold, COVID, parasites, you name it. And that allows my good cells to then overpower those bad cells. It can overpower that virus in your body. It can overpower the bacteria in your body. It can overpower the parasites in your body, and then your body can remove that, and you're again, you're healed again, you're healthy. And that's not the Rife machine healing you. That is a therapeutic device that talks to your body and gets your body to help heal itself, right? It's the same thing when you stop introducing your body to all these different bad frequencies like TV and your phone and your electrical panel, your Wi-Fi box, food has bad frequencies in it. McDonald's, has terrible frequencies in it. But if you go and eat a very natural meal somewhere, you catch a fish and put it on a plate of dandelions, it's like those are very healthy frequencies for you to digest. That's why when I go to Energy Wellness and I get an IV, I will play the frequencies that I want my body to ingest. So it is the IV bag. Those liquids in that IV are soaking up that frequency, and they are holding and capturing that frequency. And then I am putting that frequency into my bloodstream via the IV. So it's a very important thing. Digesting the correct frequencies and the proper electromagnetic fields are very, very important. So is there anything else anybody wants to see? Did I miss anything with
with your demo?
with my demo?
No, I think you talked about everything. I don't see any questions right now, but I will definitely let you know if anyone posts a question. I think that was a great explanation of how to use a Rife machine and see it full time. I mean, or in real time. That's just awesome to, I think, like just seeing the ease of use, that it's like, oh, you can just pull up an app and run your sequence versus having to go and tune your Rife machine to each frequency and or set up a computer program or pull out your computer and enter each frequency and set the time. Like it just, this is, you can tell that this one's a lot easier, a lot less complicated versus other machines that I've seen in the past now. So that's great.
Cool. Well, bring your phone on down here and let's show everybody how we would navigate the Z app if we were looking for very specific things.
Okay, 1 sec. Ooh.
Turn off all my devices here.
Yeah, it doesn't have like the greatest search, but there's a ton on there. That's awesome.
So get real close here. Let them see what the app looks like. So that's what the Z app looks like. That is available on Android or Apple. So I'm going to...
For free.
Yep. I'm going to click the Z app. All right. That's the home page. Let me get a drink of water real quick. I went on a rant there for a minute.
This is the home page. I'll have that pulled up here. You have your sequences, My Z app, and that's like where you customize. If you have a playlist that you want to, well, Hunter, we'll talk about it. But if you have a playlist that
Why don't you go through it with them? You do good here. You want to hold the camera?
Sure.
Everybody way rather hear you than me.
No. So we have, okay, so this is our home screen. We have sequences, My Z app. I kind of just ignore this. I go over here to this 3 menu button. And I typically go to sequences first. So but frequencies, this is just all the different frequencies that
20,000 plus.
Yes. So it goes all the way up to 20,000.
But show them it goes in between too. Like you see like 4.38, 4.6, and you can create your own. So if you don't have one, like a great example is 17 isn't on there. Mm-hmm. And that was one that Dr. Rife was actually using. So we had to go in and manually set 17. Mm-hmm. You see how it's not on there? So I will show them how you manually set. All right, so what do I do here? My live is trying to end on me. I ain't going to let it happen. There we go. So if we wanted to manually set 17, we would just...
so I have to go over to My Z app. I have to create a frequency. And so I can type in anything from 0.45 to 20,000. So I'm going to type in 17, and I can click Add. And then I think I just have to kind of go back out and go back in, and it should save it. Yep. So you'll see it right there. And then
so it's more than 20,000. I mean, it's
way more.
Yeah, it's way more. It's probably like 40, 50,000 plus.
I think you can, let's see. I don't know what decimal it goes to. We've seen 2 decimals. We'll go to, yeah. So they're limited to 2 decimals. So...
Thank you guys for joining. Let us know if you have any questions. We're going over how to navigate the Z app. For those of you who just joined, we were showing how to create a frequency.
Yeah. So that's how you create that. And then,
look at there. The conspiracy runs deep. Even a Z app doesn't have frequency 17 in there. Frequency 17 was a known frequency that a lot of research that Dr. Rife was using revolved around. So just
So it's interesting that it's
the
not
rabbit
there,
hole. Yeah,
sure.
it is very interesting. It's not there.
That it's kind of more of a popular frequency.
It should be in a lot of different sequences.
So
this is how you do a sequence. I'm like, hey, one second.
Yeah. Take my phone.
No. I'm just gonna let you. I keep interrupting you.
No, you're fine. So if you want to just look through the sequences, sometimes this is easier to do when you're not quite sure what you want to look for, or you're just curious to see what's in there. This is how you just scroll through, and you can see that there's just a ton.
Start reading some of them out. This is just the A. She's been scrolling all that time. We're still just in A's.
So we're in arthritis. There's a lot of this is all arthritis. There's arthritis related to gout. Arthritis tonsil infection, arthritis with parathyroid disturbances, It is very, very specific.
It had stuff on there for AIDS. It has stuff on there for asthma,
ataxia, autoimmune disorders. This is just like a general autoimmune disorders. There's also specific ones on there.
Show them the ADHD one.
I think that's...
I just want you guys to see the versatility. So we went from AIDS to asthma to arthritis, all the way to
abdominal pain, abscess,
acne.
Yes.
Where's the ADHD one?
It's the first one.
First one, ADHD. Okay, because it's abbreviated. So just showing you the range there, just in A's. Now we're still scrolling down to B's or something. Show them. Then we're gonna have you like search something for us.
So if you've like ever done muscle testing and you know like that you've tested positive for different like specific bacteria, this is where a lot of people will find which bacteria their body has. You'll notice that a lot of them are in here, and this is like crazy specific. So strep throat, I saw E. coli. There's a bad complexion one for people who are wanting to do like skincare, bedwetting, bed sores. So
I love the skincare one. I can tell you right now, the
Yeah,
eczema
thank you.
one is a great skincare one. Like
there's like a fascia one too. I know one of my coworkers used it. She had like a really long playlist, which I told her, I was like, that's too much, but she didn't care. So she set up a huge playlist of all the different skincare ones, and she'd run it every night. And she looked awesome after a few weeks. I was like, I can tell a difference. And she's like, ooh, like her face just looked a lot more like hydrated, and
That's
so,
amazing.
yeah, it was really cool.
It's just amazing.
Well, I asked her, I was
So
like,
amazing.
are you doing something else besides the Rife machine? Because she's always trying new skincare things. And she's like, no, that's the only thing I've been doing. So I thought that was really cool. And yeah, so
the amount of feedback that doesn't even come to us.
yeah.
You know, it's like that's incredible. Like it's like it didn't even come to us.
So you can also go up here and search. So if you have something specific, we'll just use eczema. Then you start typing it in, and then you see all the different things in eczema that you can select from. So you can do that. Sometimes this is easier, especially if you know what you're looking for. We also use like herniated disc a lot. So disc herniated. There's diverticulosis.
Hold on, let's show them how sensitive it is. This is a downfall of this app. Type in disc. So it doesn't. Oh, it
comes
is.
up.
You just have to type it all the way in, but it can be sensitive. Like if you're looking for something, sometimes you have to really type in that medical term. You can't just type in hurt eye. You have to type in something specific.
But if I were to type in like herniated disc, because I don't have the comma, then it doesn't. Yeah. So it's just it
can be sensitive.
It can be dumb, and it sometimes is weird how it labels things. And so that's where it is nice to kind of just get familiar. I know it takes forever, and we're still learning things, but of what's on there. Look at all these detoxes that are on here. This is my favorite thing. There's aluminum in the air detox, just a body cleanse, general anesthesia detox if you just got surgery and you're trying to get all the anesthesia out of your system. Heavy metal detox is all my favorite stuff.
Yeah, we just like it when someone's like, "How do we know if it's working?" We're like, "Well, run a detox.
Yeah,
tell me how you feel afterwards."
Yeah, like I don't want to be mean or anything, but this is, if you don't think that the Rife machine works, then go run that and see if you're feeling good the next day. So that'll get it going. Yeah, so lots of different
Click
things.
on one and show them, like, so if you were going to run it, like, you would just hit play, but once you hit play, it would come to this screen. It kind of shows you all the different frequencies that are going to play. And these generally play for about 3 minutes a piece unless you change the settings, which you should do sometimes, but generally 180 seconds is where
Per
people
frequency.
stay out.
Yeah, it's a good place to start. The only way that we would really recommend doing a longer duration for each frequency is if you're just using 1 or 2 or 3 frequencies, and it's something, like a bone regeneration that's only 2 frequencies long. Then you could run it for 5-10 minutes each, and that way you get a little bit of a longer session. But typically, like, a lot of these are already pretty long. even like this eczema is probably 45 minutes or so. I know some of the cancer playlists are like an hour and a half. So I don't recommend ever like changing the time. If anything, change it to less time for that because that's just too long of a sequence for most people. Here's a fascia, fat burning frequency, and general fatigue, which is what I mean.
Oh, I'd love to see that again. Yeah, the fat burning one. Yeah.
Which is fun. Haven't tried it
There's
yet.
a few of them because there's like the brown fat one.
I don't remember that one.
You have to search it on there. I've seen it before, which apparently that's like one of the hardest fats to remove. It's on there. Ah, I know. We'll find it later, but yeah, no, that's very interesting. I was just shocked to see it. I'm like, oh man, I hear people talk about that, the brown fat or whatever. And it's just like fat you can't remove for your body. And it has a sequence for that on the right machine. It's amazing.
So then you can customize. Do you want to show them how to customize it? Like
No.
if you, yeah. You can
That's
save
great.
if you have like this is what I would do for you if I was going to set up your sequences ahead of time. Then I can go ahead and like pick out those sequences and I can save them and create a playlist for you with your name on it. And then you just press play and it's going to play everything through. You don't have to go in and select it. You just select your playlist and press play. And then that way, you know, you're getting the same thing every time. So it's kind of cool that you can have different playlists, you know, and different sequences saved. And of course, if you add your own frequencies, you can have that as well. So just a lot of customization with this app, which is really, really awesome. There's definitely some bugs with it, but it gets the job done, and it's pretty user friendly. It's not too complicated, so we love it. Of course, we love it. It works great. It's way better than any alternative that I've seen as far as getting the right machine set up. A lot of them I've seen, it's like you have to like bring out a computer and you have to set up this program, install this whole program, and then you have to enter each frequency in, and it's like, you know, it looks like you're writing code half the time.
And then you have to research like all the different
Yeah, it doesn't
frequencies
come
and
with,
trial
like,
and error
programs.
goes. Yeah, it's not like a Z app, which is great because they've done all of that research for you. So now you just type in the element that you're trying to target and you use their frequencies, and they have several different ones. Like, okay, these are also a list of frequencies that are known to help. This is another one. So it's like you're not just like left high and dry, like just sifting through a sea of information, just starving for a little bit of guidance. It's like your guidance is in the app, and that's what I love about these compared to those old school Rife machine frequency generators. So. All right, guys. Well, we are running a little bit over on time, so if we don't have any questions, we are going to go ahead and conclude our Labor Day special live sale. We really appreciate everybody joining us this week. We know that time is your most valuable asset, and we greatly appreciate you guys dedicating a little bit of that time to get excited about vibrational medicine, to get excited about Rife machines, and to get excited about helping returning veterans and their families and supporting that cause. So thank you guys so much for joining us. And if you have any questions or comments or want to see a video on a specific thing or us to do a live on a specific thing, please feel free to reach out. Our goal is to drive this industry through the roof and make sure that these become so common that in every household you'll see one of these before you see a bottle of Tylenol. So.
Absolutely, yes. We certainly appreciate you guys and love being here and love spending this time with you. So, yeah, without further ado,
We'll see you guys next time.
we'll see you next time.